BLTHFC saying this is a major coaching issue, and don't tell me it's Bundesliga tax when he spun Rice to score in the European semi-final against all Prem players. So what are we seeing here?
So the red is when he was in the Bundesliga, and the blue is when he was at Spurs. I mean, it tells a story about. You could argue if you want, this is just him adjusting to the Premier League and stuff, but I would heavily argue that I think Frank doesn't really know how to use him. Or he's not using him right.
Yeah, which is strange because he got, really good play out of Damsgaard in the number 10, and he was like making them tick, and he was, creating loads of chances for them. And
but that's also that took about 18 months.
It's true. But he did have a lot of injuries, didn't he?
Yeah, Damsgaard. He did, yeah. But for about 18 months he was really struggling.
Yeah.
And then he finally
didn't he join Brentford and then just had a really long injury straight off the bat?
I think he joined after he had a long injury. He had an ACL, then joined Brentford, I think.
But then he had another injury when he joined Brentford, didn't he?
Not an ACL.
No, not an ACL, but it's still a big one.
Potentially, I can't remember.
Anyway, this is Pedro Porro's statement after the game, and he says, "Football is emotions. In football, as in life, there can always be mistakes. What I will not tolerate is hearing disrespect from the fans to my teammates, hence my frustration at the end of the game. And we will get up, we will remind you 6 months ago, everything was so bad, but in the end, it's not how it begins, it's how it ends. To the true Spurs fans, I love you."
What do you make of that statement?
I mean, I'm not too sure what to make out of it. And yeah, look, he's talking about trying to play on the heartstrings of the Europa League, and look, everyone was delighted when we won the Europa League, but he was still part of a team that finished 17th in the league last season, and in terms of the worst Premier League campaign we've ever had. So he needs to buck up his ideas. Like, never mind him going at fans or anything, like his performance on the pitch is not good enough in recent weeks. There's been some worrying traits that have been creeping into his game, and he needs to look at himself before he looks at anyone else, that's for sure.
After he said what he said in midweek, or you take this mentality and this whatever he said into the game on the weekend, and then this happens on the weekend. It's a really horrible look.
Yeah.
And also he's not apologising.
No.
There's no apology there.
No.
So should he be apologising?
I don't really know if he should be apologising or not. I don't really care if he apologises or not. I just want him to.
Very apologies.
Yeah, I've heard apologies time and time again from members of the squad.
Yet again.
Yeah, I know.
Apology.
He seems to apologise after every game, but with Pedro Porro, just make the performances right on the pitch, and we won't care about anything else that happens. That's where I'm at with it.
But I guess he's calling for patience, isn't he? When he kind of says 6 months ago was bad, but at the end of it we got a trophy. Is that what he's trying to say here? I guess it's bad now, but if you stick with it.
The difference is we're in the Europa League last year, we're in the Champions League this year. What are we going to win?
FA Cup.
Yeah, FA Cup, which we got to beat the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea to get to.
Oh, and they might go out to other teams.
But all in all, if you're going to win the FA Cup, you're going to have to come across some really good teams to get there. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. It's unlikely you won't face at least one of them.
Arsenal beat Wigan and Hull in their
they just got very. Look, we might get very lucky and face just championship teams all the way there. You never know, but we'll probably have to face one of these teams at least. We Are Tottenham TV tweeted Spurs XG check-in. Last season, Spurs averaged 1.55 XG per 90 while conceding 1.67 XG. This season, they're creating just a 0.9 XG per 90 and conceding 1.43 XG. Chance creation and defensive issues still there, and chance creation's down. Big drop-off on both sides of the ball. Worrying trend, which is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and I just find it crazy, like how you can be worse than. I can understand why the team was bad last season, but obviously we still don't want the team to be on that level. And how are you getting worse numbers than that? It's just crazy to me.
Makes no sense.
Like, Frank was, whatever you want to say about Frank, he's obviously brought in to improve us.
Yeah.
And improve it quickly. We're supposed to improve on that standard quite quickly from last season.
But we got worse.
And it's worse. How is that possible? And he sacrificed all this chance creation, whatever, for a more stable defence, and he's not even providing that.
Yeah. So he hasn't even sacrificed it for a stable defence because we don't have a
sacrificed it
stable
for
defence.
nothing, essentially.
Billy T says it's actually quite impressive to make a 0.01 XG so consistently. So, I mean, I think it was at 40 minutes, they showed a stat that we were 0.01 XG on TV. And by the end of the first half, I think it was 0.07 in the end. Or maybe, but it was just, it's just...
I mean, even if you just shut your eyes and punt the ball a few times a game, you're going to get more XG than that.
Burnley in one half of football against Arsenal created 0.43.
So
there's no excuse for Spurs against anyone. If Burnley can create 0.43 against Arsenal, you know, we should be not struggling to make that against anyone.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy how little we create.
Yeah.
It's mad.
So Vicario comes out after the game and he says, I take full responsibility for the second goal we conceded. Moments like this hurt, especially when the results aren't going our way. Now more than ever, it's time to fight even harder and give everything for this club. And look, at the end of the day, I am sick and tired of hearing apologies, but at least someone that made a mistake during a game comes out and fronts it out. And I respect him for it, but I'm just sick and tired of hearing the apologies, to be honest.
Every game is an apology. But I guess on this occasion, he is the one who has to make an apology, isn't he? Because he is the one that made that bad mistake. But at the end of the day, as much as I was watching your review and you said the game was lost in the first 5 minutes and because we were 2-0 down, fair enough. But we did have 85 minutes. We saw Sunderland come back from 2-0 down against Bournemouth. We saw Leeds come back from 2-0 down against Man City. Right, after going 2-0 down early. So is it like, as much as those early mistakes obviously cost us when you look at the result, like it's not an excuse for not even getting close to getting back in the game?
Yeah, I found really funny. I was watching the vlog that you put together and we went 2-0 down. Dad was like, it's Fulham, they're crap. Of course we're going to get back.
I was like, really? Are you watching us?
Anyway, Billy T says, what have we done? So this is a clip of Ange Postecoglou. Is this an actual clip? Is it AI? Or is it...
people saying it's AI? I don't know. And I don't think it is. I think it is a real clip because there was someone social media team posted it. I can't remember who it was. He was saying good luck in a final to start to a team, and then he ended it with "Come on, you Spurs." I don't know why he did that. Unless that bit was AI.
Who is he?
Camersham United saying good luck to Camersham United.
Camersham United. Who are Camersham
Then he says,
United?
I don't know, they're just some team.
Caversham United.
Caversham, yeah, maybe.
No idea who they are.
I know someone bumped into him and just asked him to say this message. He ended it with "Come on, you Spurs." I don't know why, but got my feelings all coming back to me.
Look, at the end of the day, it's hard. It's hard to think like we're any better off right now because we're clearly not. So that's the damning statement. We finished 17th last year and we're no better off this year, which is crazy. Tappin Tobe says Bournemouth have won one game away from home. Guess where? Fulham have won only one game away from home all season. Guess where? Wolves have 1 point away from home all season. Guess where? Go on and lie to me that we didn't have enough quality to at least compete and create chances in each of these games, let alone win. And that's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I think the most worrying thing isn't even that we didn't win those games. It's just how we looked in those games and how bad we were and how easily we were beaten or stifled in all of those games.
Yeah.
That's the worrying thing.
True. Football on TNT Sports saying Harry Wilson scored from this angle. It was an unbelievable angle to score from, to be honest. An unbelievable hit from Harry Wilson.
He's got a great left foot. But why is Danso just standing there?
He slipped.
That's what I don't know. That's a doggy.
Oh, Danso.
I'm saying Danso here. He's just there, like, in the box, and he's, like, pushing up. Like, I don't understand why he's not running back to the line and trying to prevent an open goal being scored. It just makes no sense to me.
Absolute shit show, man.
Like, what? It's just brain dead. Where is your danger, like alertness? You know what I mean?
Alta Cop says, imagine a get-out-of-jail free card winning Europa League to take you back into the Champions League after a catastrophic Premier League season and then giving that opportunity for a hard reset to a Brentford manager. Club deserves everything it's getting right now. Unambitious as always.
I think I don't like the fact. I don't care that he's Brentford manager. That's not my issue. The issue is if you expected to him to bring the football he was playing at Brentford and giving that the rebuild. That is the issue I have. I would have, and it never made sense to me doing that. And at the moment, it's not doing very well.
When you actually think about it, it's just like, well, obviously, I think Frank would have sold them a project of that. He can play a lot better football than he's playing right now. That's the reality. I don't think he's saying, I'm just going to be playing counter-attacking football and defence-first football. The first thing he said when he came in said he wants to play front-footing, attacking football. That's what he said. Obviously, that hasn't happened. But, yeah, it's just, I don't even know what to say about it anymore. But the way this club has run,
I'm sure Nuno said the same thing.
And their manager, yeah, maybe, and their manager search, but it's just like, why are we always going like flip-flopping from this thing to that thing, back to this thing, back to that thing, back to this thing, back to that thing? Nothing works
because we don't have the people. That comes from the people in the top. We don't have clearly good footballing people making the decisions. They don't know what they're doing. You look at Brighton, they lost Potter. They get De Zerbi in, a continuation. They lost De Zerbi, they get Hertzler in, a continuation. They know what they're doing. They've got a good model there. They've got a good hierarchy. Look at even Brentford with Frank. They lost Frank, they put Andrews in, and he knows what there's a continuation of what they were doing, right? So these guys got good people at the top making good decisions. They've decided we've got a way of playing, and we're going to put a manager that fits in that. We think we know what we would want, but the people actually making decisions to pick the right people have clearly no clue, or they're not qualified at all to be making these decisions because they keep getting it wrong.
Yeah. Jay Harris says 3 important games for Spurs over the last week, and Xabi Simons started on the bench in all of them. I wasn't completely surprised he didn't start against Arsenal or PSG, but thought he should have today. Which is mad, isn't it? Your big summer signing, along with Mohamed Kudus, our most expensive signing, Xabi Simons, and on the bench for the last 3 games.
I know, it's worrying, isn't it? And he doesn't cut a happy figure. Obviously, no one does really at the moment, but I just hope Frank's not deciding because he's not like big and physical, he can't be in the team. I really hope that's not the case. Yeah,
but you would have thought like Frank's one of the ones that signed off on that signing. I guess, he wasn't our first choice. We tried to go for Morgan Gibbs-White. We tried to go for Eze, and then we fed on Xabi Simons. We fed on Xabi Simons because he was one of the ones available towards the end of the window. But the reality is, in my opinion, he's a very good footballer, very technically gifted footballer. And if you play to his strengths, you'll get the best out of him. And we're just not doing that.
No, absolutely not.
Simon Jimenez says 0.89 XG, 9th game out of 13 in the Premier League where Spurs haven't been able to reach a 1 XG. That is mad, isn't it? That is crazy. 9 out of 13 games we haven't reached even a 1 XG.
And 1 isn't even great.
I know. So much talk since my first post about this, but wanting to be proactive coach and play aggressive front foot football, but nothing has actually changed in the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's a horrible trend, and it speaks for itself. I think the problem is the stats are backing up the eye test as well. Some people talk about stat to eye test, but I think at the moment they're both in tandem.
Yeah,
fair to say.
Very true. Jake says, ideologically, I agree with the argument that you should stick with a manager and give them time for their project. But if we were to do that, I would have rather done it with the momentum of the European trophy than whatever this has devolved into. Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's hard to argue against it right now. It is hard to argue against it, but maybe it's a case of that we did need a change and we've just gone for the wrong manager. Maybe that's also a case, so I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the case. That might well be the case, but if you ask me now, would I rather give season 3 a go than what I'm watching? 100%.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with it. I think if we would have ended up sticking with Ange, I don't think many fans would have had a problem after the Europa League win. But I think once he went, I think a lot of fans just accepted it was probably the right decision. Some fans brought into Thomas Frank, some fans didn't buy into Thomas Frank. But right now, I think everyone's in unison being like, this is nowhere near good enough.
I liked Thomas Frank, and I thought he can come here and do a good job, but I had a lot of reservations about certain things, and all of them have unfortunately come to pass at the moment, but it is only 30
There is no chance you would have thought it would have been this bad, though.
No, not this bad. I thought he would definitely I thought it would just be, not as pretty, but much more effective than what I'm seeing. And the lack of effectiveness has been a big surprise to me, to be honest. I thought he had much more of a plan than just putting a cross in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Me too. Vince Regari says, some of the things that were said on here last season were insanely dumb, like genuinely laughable. Like Billy T's responding to Billy T saying, at least these players are finally coached. I said that as well, I think.
And that's what a lot of people were saying last year. Oh, these players aren't coached. Well, are they coached now?
It doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it. They know what they're doing.
Maybe the players are the problem then.
Maybe, but I mean, it's hard to argue that when they all start for their national teams, they're good national teams. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
when has this club ever made sense?
No, never. We never make sense.
Squawker Live says Tottenham are the first side to attempt 16-plus open play crosses in the first half of a Premier League game without any of them finding a teammate since Tottenham themselves versus Bournemouth in October 2022. 18. Who was our manager in October 22? Was that Ange?
That would have been Conte.
Conte.
That would have been Conte.
Squawker as well said only Richarlison has been directly involved in more Premier League goals for Tottenham this season than Mohamed Kudus. Richarlison 7, Kudus 6.
Yeah, Kudus, the goal contribution started quite strong, but they've kind of petered out. But hopefully he can start getting on form. But I think he just needs help. He needs help from the tactics. He needs help from his other players. He's just trying too much, and I think clearly teams are caught onto it. You can see they're doubling up on him. They're getting too few players around him, and I think he needs a lot more help at the moment.
Simon Yemene says Sam seems like a good man. Frank is a good coach. Frank is someone I genuinely wanted to see at this football club. Frank has still not shown me anything that makes me think he's the right coach for Spurs. Frank is starting to run out of time, and you know what? That's kind of where I'm at as well.
Yeah. And I don't like to see Frank how he is in press conferences. Like, he's usually such a positive, upbeat guy, and to see him be snapping at journalists and to see this job grounding him down like it has, it is sad at the moment.
You know, well, similar things happened to Angelo at the back end of last season. Like, he was also like a very fun figure in press conferences, and he ended up being a snappy manager, and that happened to him at Forest as well.
And I don't like to see that either.
Yeah, but that just happens to managers under pressure. It's just
that was not a comment on Frank. I just don't like to see that. I he was such an upbeat figure. Like, it's so sad to see, is my point.
Yeah. And then you tweeted out saying he looks in a state of shock, and this is Johan Lang.
This was him at half time.
He
looked like he was contemplating his life choices.
The thing is with Johan Lang, like, he's got a close connection with Thomas Frank. They've worked with each other in the past before he came to Tottenham Hotspur, and I think particularly Johan Lang is going to want to give it as much time as possible.
I know, 100%. It was just a little joke I made, but there's a part of the walk where he looks down. It's like he's just contemplating everything. Like, oh shit, we just got this completely wrong.
And then you posted out the clip as well of Pedro Porro and Lucas Bergvall.
Yeah, this is obviously we've gone over it, but Porro shouting. This is the moment he's like shouting at Bergvall, and Bergvall's telling him to go clap the fans, and he's not wanting to. A lot of people are commenting as well, potentially, that does it say anything about Frank and how he's around the teammates, but I don't really see much of that. I think if you watch the full clip, he does kind of embrace all the teammates, and they all seem to go in for a high five. So I don't know if there's anything there, but definitely in terms of players trudging off down the tunnel angrily, that seems to start being a common occurrence at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's a worry.
You know, I was thinking about
snapping at each other and things.
Thinking about Romero as well. It's just like,
I saw Romero. Yeah, he was there on the touchline.
Oh, was it like we convinced him to sign that contract in the summer?
Oh yeah, what do you think right now? Like, why the hell did I sign that?
Yeah.
These public displays of just unhappiness are not great at all.
Yeah.
Look, and look, to be fair, you're obviously going to do it when we have lots of, as you have at home. So I'm not expecting the players to be happy, but when they're snapping at each other, when they're doing these things publicly, it's a horrible look.
Billy T says, Ange managed Spurs like they were the best team in the world, and it cost him because we won. Thomas Frank manages us like we're Brentford, and it's not working because we aren't. I know which I prefer, but probably middle ground seems sensible. And yeah, I do think there's some validity to that. And also, I was thinking about this last night. regarding sorry, Chelsea were just on attack there. Regarding Ange and Frank with the way they manage this football club. I'm talking about solely what they've been saying in the press. Like Ange would basically defend Spurs with all his might, and you know, every time you watch his press conferences, you would come away from it like feeling all right about it. Frank, with some of these comments that he's making in the press conferences, they just don't seem right with me. About the 17th comment he made and the way he's managing it. Like, I just don't like some of the ways like Frank's conducting himself in some of these press conferences, making it seem like we're a lot worse than we are.
Yeah, and also how the players supposed to respond to that. A lot of these players obviously were part of the team that finished 17th, but they know what they went through, and obviously they came away with the trophy last season. And to be told, oh yeah, but don't forget you guys finished 17th last season. So if we have a shit performance, it's actually because these players, you know, this is what I've got to deal with. I mean, I like that is no way for a manager of Tottenham Hotspur to be talking like. But
regardless of their managerial quality, what you got from Ange in his press conference, it would make you dream.
Exactly, that's what football was all about.
And what you get from these Frank press conferences being like, oh, we really are shit, aren't we?
And yeah, it was like the breakdown in terms of the 60 games a season. Like, where does yesterday fall under? Is that an average one or is that a really shit one? Because he only says we only get 10.
That was ridiculous comment to make. Like, what is he thinking making these comments? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. I kind of understood what he's trying to say. He's trying to say like we have during a 60 game season you generally get like 12 perfect games, like in terms of you're not basically what he's trying to say is like you're not gonna have more than 10 to 12 games a season where you're like winning by 2 or 3 goals. It's usually that's the amount, like on average, and then you get 30 kind of average games where the games are close, but you know, although the games are close, like you should be edging them out if your base performance at a certain point. In average performance should be you win the game by a goal or you get a draw, and then you have 10 to 12 games where you're just completely off it, and like sometimes you get a draw out of those games, or sometimes you can shit house 1-0 win, but you're going to lose a lot of those games. That's what he's trying to say. But when you're managing a team like Tottenham Hotspur and you're not explaining yourself in that kind of way, it kind of seems like you're implying we're only going to have 12 games where we're really good, and that's it, really. And the rest of the time, you're just going to have to put up with like average performances or shit performances. And I don't think like Pep or Arteta is like tolerating that. Like, and so to think like that is the standard that
Pochettino would never tolerate that.
And to say that's the standard we have to put up at Tottenham Hotspur is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really found odd. Well, I was thinking about this more as well about Frank. I kind of feel like Frank is like the right manager if we would have lost the final, but if having won the final, he's just not the right manager to bring in that circumstance.
I don't even think that's the case.
Yeah, because I think we would have had 1 game a week. He would have had talented players.
True, would have been out of Europe. Yeah.
And as well, I think if we weren't in Europe this season and all we had last season was just 17th and nothing else, then probably right now is a bit more tolerable than what we're suggesting.
I don't think it is. Maybe like the football might have been a bit better, so maybe it would have been tolerable in that sense. But if we were serving this up, then it's not. It's never tolerable.
I just feel like if we would have, I feel like if we would have lost the final, he would have been the right guy. But having won it, I just think it was the wrong appointment.
Squawker says only Wolves have taken fewer points at home in the Premier League this season than Tottenham. 5 points at home all season. Wolves have taken 1.
God. So.
Yeah. Jake Sanders says Tottenham under Thomas Frank are nothing more than a League 2 team. Hope for football, no patterns, no tactics, absolutely no clue.
Well, League 2 teams have been getting better performances against Arsenal than we did.
Yeah.
Port Vale.
Adam Nathan says Pochettino win it high and incisive passing. Mourinho low block and break with numbers. Conte wing back to wing back, quickly into forwards. Ange byline cut back, creative overloads. I have absolutely no idea how Frank wants us to create chances. He's completely clueless. Well, I'll tell you how he wants to create chances by spamming crosses into the box. So for Frank, you can put Frank cross spammer.
Cross spammer but we don't get anywhere near the players in the box. It's crazy.
Up to Joe says 9.5. Spurs are averaging just 9.5 shots and 3.2 shots on target per game in the Premier League this season, both of which are the lowest averages on record in a single campaign since 03-04.
So attacking wise, this team is performing worse than any other team than since records began.
Yeah.
Think of all the teams we've had since then. and how many teams were bad and stuff.
Mhm.
And this is the worst.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
It's madness. Up to Joe says Tottenham suffered their 10th home defeat of 2025 in the Premier League, which is now their joint most home league defeats in a single calendar year in the club's history. Also 10 in 94 and 2003. So our manager in 94, I think, was Ozzy. Our manager in 2003, was it Hoddle?
Hoddle and Pleat.
Hoddle and Pleat, yeah.
We were shocked. We nearly got relegated that year as well.
Another one from Up to Joe says Fulham's 2-0 lead in the 6th minute marks the earliest that Tottenham have ever conceded 2 goals in the Premier League home match. Wow.
And it's also Fulham's first win at our ground in 16 years.
Yeah, mad.
How mad is that? 16
Mad.
years we lost them 3-0.
Fulham have turned into a bloody bogey team for us.
I know. How has that happened? How have we allowed that to happen?
We've beaten them once in the last 6 games.
How's Fulham the bogey? There used to be such a standard win. God, like classic 2-0 home win.
Yeah. George Sessions says, Thomas Frank catching strays from David Pleat during the half-time chat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after Clive Allen joked he would have got 50 goals if he was not rested at Everton in 1987. Pleat takes over. He should have got 50 goals. Now we're lucky to have a shot. I don't think David Pleat's going to be invited back anytime soon. If Daniel Levy was still here, David Pleat would never have been there anyway.
I was sitting right next to him during the game. He looked not happy during the game. I can tell you that.
And Jack Pitbrook saying, I fear that Tottenham are basically as bad right now as they were in January, February, but with less mitigation, less credit in the bank for the manager, and without the sense of a shared purpose provided by the Europa League campaign. Yeah.
Essentially. That's essentially how it is at the moment. Oh, Caicedo's about to be sent off.
Absolute facts. But look, that is the way the internet did react to the game yesterday. Just watching the Arsenal game here, it looks like Caicedo is about to be sent off